Yeah, Jill.
I'm a master at adjusting mics.
Yes.
Alright. So, it's gonna be Mother's Day tomorrow, so I have a Mother's Day marathon.
Yeah!
Well,
Heads.
yeah, alright. Okay. My great-grandma died at 3 in the morning, 8 days before her birthday. She was 98 years old, going on divinity, and I loved her so much. But for 17 years, she was a great-grandma that I hardly knew, hardly talked to. And there is something that makes me hate myself because I didn't cry for her. I imagine her last breath sounded like all the others. They were all shuddering, like a storm was passing through her lungs just until she decided to cough it out into the roll of tissue she kept by her pillow, like her Bible. Leather-bound and wrinkling, I wonder if she thought it was a mirror because it looked an awful lot like her, worn and withering with a halo that seemed to be forgotten in the wash one too many times. I couldn't tell her that sometimes I thought God was a little too cheap to shoot for the non-rusting crowns, but I'm sure he never thought he'd be giving them out to dying angels. My great-grandma Toshiko Takatsu was half-winged, tight-lipped smile. She looked like she had the war beaten into her soul, feathers plucked a little too often, weathered to the disaster of a hurricane, like my name, which blustered into this world like a tragedy. I rode from my mother's womb 100 miles per hour, blackouts across the grid, and 100-some-odd casualties. And maybe my first breath sounded achingly like her death, like a gasp, a puff. It held my lungs compartmentalized, so my breath sounded like dead pirate ships, exhaling under the gold, the sand, the tidal waves, heavy and stolen. I'd like to pillage my heritage once in a while, dig under the rows of crops like veins, treasure hunting forget-me-nots and nooses, scream my throat loose. My culture is silent, growing quieter with age. We speak like shh. Like, please don't say it aloud what I can read in your eyes. And even then, there is a reason why our eyes are slanted, barely open. I didn't need to see her tears in order to know that she fostered century-old aches. A picture brides and late-night bottles of sake, getting drunk off World War II cocktails like it was the end of the earth. We drank together like strangers, never spoke to each other, somehow knowing that communication was just a little too awkward. The same way I would never ask my grandma for anything because I don't expect her to remember. The same way I can't hug my grandpa just because I love him. This is how I've grown up to love my heritage. Just a little bit lonely, and I've always been ashamed of it. I always regret not talking to her more. I wish my last memory wasn't of her skeleton trying to breathe. I wish I could rewind time because there is so much left unsaid between us. I want to tell her that I'm going to college in the summer. Much earlier than I wanted to, but even though I bitched about it, I'm excited. That I've met people I will never forget. That I've had 3 boyfriends, but I've yet to fall in love like she did with Ji-chan. I want to grow up and have a family, be a strong woman like she was, that I miss her even though I only knew her for a blink in the timeline of her life. I want to be everything and nothing like her at the same time because she was beautiful. Windswept, God-worshipping, war-battered, a full-flight, non-rusted halo angel, and I will tell my children for the rest of my life that their great-great-grandma was one of the strongest people I know, even in her silence.